Right on. Welcome to Dark Horse Paranormal Podcast. Happy Thirsty Thursday.
Happy Thirsty Thursday.
I'm your host, the God of Thunder, Dr. Love.
Oh, wait. And I'm your hostess, Kristen Johnson, I'm the goddess of love here, Jack and Sally. Jack and
Lick
Sally.
it up. Lick
I love that Kiss song.
How you guys doing? Hope you're having a great Thursday. We have a wonderful show for you, as we always say.
And we always do.
And we strive for it anyways. We got to strive for it. Right?
Sure.
How's that computer doing? Is it smoking yet?
God, I really need to get a new
like
laptop.
16 tabs open.
And it's only 2 years old.
It's on
like
fire.
We have no idea.
Heaven's on fire. All right, so I'm doing the Kiss thing because my sister gave me this picture, and I showed this like a week ago or something like that. That's me, and I'm in like second grade, and I got a Kiss shirt on. I'm sitting on Frankenstein's lap in some wax museum or something bizarre. And yeah, we like that stuff.
Yeah, we do. We like all the bizarre stuff. We do.
We've got an awesome show for you guys tonight, and I think we're gonna bring our guest right on. His name is JD Hill, and he is from Studio 6 Paranormal Podcast, and we're gonna talk some ghosts. Let's bring him right on.
Hey.
Welcome.
What's up, brother?
Not much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Do you like to go by JD, or do you want to be called Jay?
Jay's fine. I have a couple different names, so Jay's fine.
That's all right. We're all a little incognito.
All right.
Yeah. I love your podcast.
Thank you very much.
One thing I noticed, you were interviewing Carol Malone, I think was her name, of Haunted Hotels, on your last podcast, and you were getting all kinds of like weird EVP odd noises, trying to decide if it was paranormal or not, and we can relate to that. We've had that experience as well.
Yeah, it was really a weird interview. She couldn't get her video up. It was just too much interference, and from what I was getting, it was just there was so much activity where she was at that it was just. So we did audio, and even then it was some crazy stuff. So
yeah, we heard it was
that happens,
and
it does. We've noticed, like with high energy people or people with haunted objects, and like maybe the room that they're broadcasting from. Cody Despians comes to mind.
Yes. Cody and Satori.
Yeah, Cody and Satori in their haunted museum. We're getting all kinds of weird stuff, and with Nathaniel Gillis, that
was awful. Yeah.
We've gotten, like very clear EVPs coming through.
Crazy.
Things that don't make sense, like F-bombs and like something was angry. And as a podcast host, this is something you notice, like more or less, or somewhere in the middle.
Right.
I find that interesting. So what got you investigating, and how did you get into this stuff?
Oh, well, I was kind of born this way. I mean, I had gifts. I had gifts, when I was little, and I didn't quite know what they were. And as I went on, as I started to get older, I started to experience more paranormal, especially in my teens. I think I was 16 when I saw my first full body apparition. And so it was just basically that. And I've had a few other instances when my gifts would come through when I was at a really haunted place. Well, actually, it was an apartment that me and the girlfriend I had at the time were looking at, and I had got a lot of mental imagery of what was there before, and it was kind of scary, didn't really think too much of it, didn't play too much into it, but it wasn't until after I had my stroke in 2013 that my my brain decided to say, hey, now it's time to kind of wake up. So
what kind of things were you getting in from the apartment?
When I first walked in, and mind you, this was the only red house, barnyard red on the block. So it was weird to begin with. And it was such an old house that when you would walk in to the upstairs or to the back door, the doorbell was in the middle of the door and you had to chime it to ring it. That's how old that house was.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I walked up to this upstairs apartment to look at it, I had imagery of abuse, and I had seen a little girl in a room huddled in the corner of the closet covered in blood, and that was disturbing to say the least. And I could feel the anger in the room, and yeah. And then when we moved in, I had, those classic, someone's looking at you or staring at you.
Feelings and
I was in the shower. Our bathroom at that time was really small, so where the door was to the bathroom, the shower was like right next to the door. And I was in the shower and I heard the door open, and I thought it was my girlfriend coming home from work. And I had said, I was just talking away, and and I didn't get a response. And I'm like, "Are you there?" I'm like, "Where'd you go?" And then the door closed, and I got out and I walked in the kitchen with a towel on, and nobody was there. And my girlfriend had just walked up the stairs, and I said, "Were you just here?" I said, "Where'd you go?" And she says, "I just got home." And so, so there was nobody there. So
that's like a Hollywood creepy story right there,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it was just really, and that wasn't the worst part of it, because the fact that I was attacked in another room. I was actually pulled off of a bed, and I heard growling in the room, and yeah, it was.
That's more demonic than negative. That's
yeah, it was at the time.
What did you feel?
At the time, it was, yeah. But I shortly left. We broke up, and I left shortly after that. So
it was like that old apartment song.
Yeah.
That old apartment. No, but it's seriously, was there any history that you came up with that equated?
I didn't. I tried to go to the library, but I couldn't really find anything, because it was in a small town called Red Oak, Iowa, and it's got a lot of history in itself. And yeah, I didn't. At that time, I didn't have the wits with me. I was still kind of, using, and because I'm actually I'm a drug. I've been a drug and alcohol addict since I was like a teenager. So I've been sober now since 2013. So after my stroke took care of that.
Wow.
So
you're too young to have a stroke. Oh my God.
I was 42. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yep.
Can I ask you a question? This is really, really personal, but
whatever.
Seeing and knowing all this stuff that you've been through, did it make you were you trying to be numb from it and get away from it?
Oh yeah. I was running in the other direction as fast as I can.
Understand. That's understandable. So many people do
that. Yep. I didn't know what I was going through. I didn't know why I sensed or thought I was crazy half the time, and that I just numbed whatever I wanted to, whatever I could get my hands on.
I completely understand
that. So a lot of people don't understand, but why you try to explain yourself and you say, look, I just saw this thing.
Right.
You're like, yeah, okay, sure you did. And yeah.
And like nobody believes you.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, my girlfriend at the time, I told her she dismissed it. But I didn't. I told my sister, who's a year older than me, is gifted as well. I called her and told her that I wanted her to come visit the house to validate. because that was so intense, you know. But
Absolutely.
she couldn't make it because actually I was gonna have her do a walkthrough with the house before we rented it, and she wasn't able to come, so I was like, oh, we'll just rent it, and that's fine. Well, I don't regret it. I um and basically it came right after I was still, you know, I had at that time I had accepted Christ, and I was, you know, in prayers and all this other stuff, and I had something sit on my chest and yell at me and tell me or say to me, "How can you do this? I own you." All this other stuff, and yeah, and says, "I'm going to take your firstborn son, and I'm going to do this," and I mean, just terrible things.
Wow.
No.
Oh
That
yeah.
sounds more demonic, like I was saying.
Oh yeah.
We'll
Yep.
go use the D
It's actually
word, but
God. I mean, it's in the
that's
Bible, right?
interesting.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, that was the only time in my life that I actually wanted my mother. I mean, like I was that scared. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, yeah, can understand that.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that was, you know, and then after that, you know, I kind of fell out of my faith, and I got back into drugs, and I got back into all this other stuff, and you know, I was still running from things, but when I was one thing that I had to remember, that because especially me and gifted people in general, um, when I'm called upon to do something, like if God tells me, okay, you need to do this, or you know, I would like you to do this, you kind of have that urge to talk to somebody, or to, you know, not go in a room that you shouldn't go into. You know what I mean? That intuition, you
Those
know.
little
Yes.
tips. Yeah.
The gut
And,
feeling,
right,
the gut, but the
and
heart as well. And
yeah, and there were times where I would just snap out of my stupor, whatever stupid choices I was making, and I'd be, you know, I'd be there and I'd be present, you know, and I would be able to help somebody, you know, and no matter what you go through, you know, it's as long as God's got a plan for you, and you know, it's just, and I firmly believe that, you know, I'm very well protected, and I know I'm very well protected. I know my gifts. I know what I can do. I know what I can't do, you know, so it's just one of those things where when I finally got clean, and yeah, the doors kind of flung open, you know, and
A clearer perspective of
yeah.
what was going on in front of you, and how
Oh
did
yeah.
that go into the paranormal world?
Just because the fact that I've always been into the paranormal, and because the fact that every place that I ever lived had something there, and I moved a lot as I was growing up. So, um, I probably lived in five different states: Iowa, South Dakota, Colorado, Wisconsin, and Missouri.
oh wow.
Yeah. So every place we went to had something except for maybe one or two. And like the house I live in now in Wisconsin, that is, I saw that was actually had a very protective shell on it when I first moved in. So it was very nice, peaceful, and it was nice, you know, and it is nice. I mean, I could still walk into, you know, other people's houses, and like, it can be like, there's something here. It's just really weird, you know, and I just get that beside yourself feeling, you know, so.
I
Since
totally
you are
understand.
able to pick up on these kind of spirits, whether they're negative spirits that were discarnate humans or something else, how do you get rid of them? How do you move them out of a space?
I've helped a few spirits cross over. I just, with the ones who are human or who were human, um, I just have a conversation with them and say, you know, you're dead. You know, you can't really do anything else here. There's other people waiting for you, and this and that. I've helped a few, and there's some that don't want to go just because they want to stay. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, I had to start my car. I'm in my car doing this because
You're kidding us, right?
no,
That's why it's so dark.
no.
Oh,
Yeah, I had to do it. I usually do it at my car because of the fact that where I do my podcast at my hotel, I kind of might be looking for another place because they hired a couple more people, and there isn't a lot of room for me anymore. So I'm there very, very few. So
No, thank you for for
Yes,
going through the
thank
motions
you.
of getting this interview
Yeah,
together.
no, I wanted to do this, and and I I really was looking forward to this, and I'm glad that I decided that I was just going to go through this and do this. Some people that I've had on the show, or that I've asked in the past, have kind of said, oh, it's just not the right time, or at the last minute thing. And I don't want to be one of those people at the last minute saying, no, I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? If I can make it happen, I'll make it happen.
Oh, no
We
worries,
completely
man. Thank
understand
you.
right
We
now. So
understand.
thank you so much.
No worries, and we appreciate you joining.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Everybody does.
from your
Yeah,
car or wherever you are.
sure.
That's awesome. So okay, so you're moving this stuff. You have these gifts. You see things other people don't see. When do you start getting into this kind of like paranormal team state?
That
Where
was
you're
probably
actually
about
going
3 years ago. Maybe 3 years ago, I started to. I wanted to put together a team. I wanted to be able to. Um, I wanted to be able to get into my investigations, because I used to do. Excuse me. I used to do investigations by myself. Um, at places like where I lived, or a cemetery, or someplace, kind of like just on a side thing all by myself. And then I'm like, maybe I should put together a team. And so I did. And that was probably about 3 years ago, 2.5 years, 3 years ago, I think it was. But yeah, and then things kind of happened. And then that's right when COVID hit, was like 6 months
Yeah,
after
COVID
that.
damper and everything.
And then it just kind of, everything went dead,
Right.
pardon the pun, but everything went dead.
Mhm.
I
And
mean, it was just,
Young and I say, stupid COVID.
yeah. Oh yeah.
She's out there now.
Yeah. It's just, it really put a damper on a lot of the stuff that we were doing, or that we wanted to do. And so that's why, last year I decided that, I know I was on a podcast, and I thought, hey, I think I can do this. And basically Spirit said to me, yeah, I know you can do it. And I started it last year, April, and yeah, and then it's just been kind of on the go ever since.
Nice. Well, it looks good to me, and we listened to a couple of shows, and we love what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great stuff, and you're talking to some definitely cool, interesting people.
Yes.
I didn't know everybody that you had on.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize everybody's names.
Right.
And it looked like you picked out some specifically interesting people.
Yeah. I basically just kind of some of these people I was friends with, some I wasn't friends with, and I just felt led to ask them. And couple of them that I really wanted on the show haven't been able to because of scheduling issues, but usually because either they're doing a TV show, or they have an event they're posting, or something like that,
Well,
which I understand, but they always get back to me, and which I'm grateful for. I've had people cancel on me at last minute, and I don't hold that against them, because I'm not there. I'm like, it happens, so I try to wanted to get them back on again, and this and that. And if it doesn't happen, then it wasn't meant to happen. So that's the way I look at it. But no, I've been very blessed. I have a great co-host. My co-host, Shane Feek. He lives in Michigan, and I live in Wisconsin. And actually, I answered his ad on Paranormal Buzz Radio.
Oh, come on. Those are our people. It's Matt Warner. Shay is one of our best friends.
Yeah. So
we're good friends.
He had put up a post on Paranormal Buzz Radio, and about wanting to have a co-host. And I was like, okay, so I answered this ad and sent him a message, and got his phone number, started talking to him, and we had said, yeah, let's do this, and then all of a sudden it was, can you be the host? I kind of just want to be a co-host. I was like, what? I'm like, okay. He's like, you can just do everything, and I'll just be your co-host. I'm like, okay. So I got from being in the driver or the passenger seat of a co-host, I got shoved into being the driver's seat of a host, and
I
and
understand.
within like 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay. So then I got the logos and all this other stuff, and I did some of the intros and the video intros, and I do all the promos myself, and
Nice.
I feel for you, man.
Yeah, and I looked at it this way, and I think Shane knew that too. My co-host also knew that.
Yeah.
The way this is going to work is that I think that Jay's going to probably just want to be in the charge of the whole thing, and I don't think that not that it was a headache for him, but I think that he was happy being a co-host, which he is, and he's a fantastic co-host. He's all about science, and I'm all about the spiritual side. So
he brings
we're
the science.
yin and yang,
Right. So you get the two halves.
Exactly.
You get the spiritual, you get the science, and it's in one package.
Yeah, and he's brought a lot of information to me that I didn't realize on the paranormal. So I've learned a lot just having him as a co-host.
That's awesome. Thank you. Sorry, I'm doing comments too. I don't know what he's doing.
Wow, and way to blame me for that moment of silence.
You have a cricket button. Thank you. I can't reach it. Sorry, Judy.
No, I don't. I don't care.
Goodness, okay.
Okay.
That we love this board.
We do like
and pigeons are liars.
Playing with the board and trying to add an element of humor to our show.
Yes, most definitely. You have
because,
to.
Yeah, maybe I need to get one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what we're doing over here. But no, it's awesome to hear. And what kind of investigations have you been on that were profound or had a meaning, a message when you left? Like you felt like you figured out.
Well, the probably the main one that I did that I've investigated where I do my podcast and where I have done my podcast is at Maxwell Mansion Hotel. It's in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. It's a building that was built. It was one of the first houses that was built in 1856. So it's been a lot of different things, but it's been a hotel for a long time. It's got a lot of history. Ulysses S. Grant has stayed there.
Oh wow!
Ronald Reagan courted Nancy Reagan there.
Really?
Yeah.
No idea.
It was crazy. Yeah, some of the stuff I found out was just bizarre. But no, I did some with my team the team I had before. I did some investigations. Did a Halloween special, and we had some good EVPs. We had an EVP downstairs, which is now the Speakeasy. It's a bar downstairs in the basement where they turned into a bar and is to make it look like a speakeasy, which was really pretty cool. I had left a voice recorder, my phone, on the bar, and we went outside for a little bit, and then when I came back in, I listened to the recording, and there was a voice that said something, where's Susan, or something like that, or Susan. And it was clear as day. I was like, okay, that's cool. Fast forward a year and a half later, when I was doing my psychic walkthrough, I was sitting there doing a reading for a sitter down in the basement, a barmaid that worked there. And I had sensed in my mental brain, I could see this lady sitting at the end of the bar. She was like from the 20s, and her name was Susie.
Oh, come on.
So I was like, holy crap.
Right.
And then I realized who it was. And then there's different people that come through there. It's kind of like a way station. There's spirits that come through there, and then they don't stay long. I don't know what it is. If it's just a portal there or something, that it's just there's different entities there. Sure. And so But that was pretty cool. I run into her every once in a while.
Wow.
If I'm downstairs, yeah, she'll kind of, I'll know that she's there because I'll be able to see her up here, and or she'll say something to me, But yeah, she's one of those like speakeasy girls, and yeah, so she was all about the glamour and glitz and lights in Chicago.
That's
So,
awesome.
So yeah,
it's interesting that you could have that kind of residual thing going on and still have maybe some kind of intelligent feedback, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's not so easy to pigeonhole. Is this a residual haunting? This is an intelligent haunting, that kind of thing. Sometimes those lines get blurry.
Yeah, they do. I've actually kind of known for a while the difference between the residual and the active. Sometimes it is blurry. I'll give you that. I mean, sometimes I've had to revisit someplace a couple different times. Is it residual or is it active? Is it something that just happened or is So I had a case actually. My friend of mine was my camera guy. Josh. I had him on my show. I do psychometry with pictures.
Okay.
So he's
something from the picture, correct?
Right. So he sends me pictures every once in a while of certain houses if somebody contacts him, but he will just send me a random house and he'll say, "What do you get when you look at this?" And so the other day I studied it and I caught a couple different things, and I think it was after I was done with it and I told him what I found, but then I said, something's kind of telling me that this was something that already happened, that it's not necessarily current. So, because I wasn't for sure, because the person that was saying that they were having, this sounded like a demonic scream at 5 a.m. in their kitchen.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, and when I looked at the picture, I immediately didn't think that. I didn't get anything that was demonic or anything like that. But what I did get, the first word I got was an appliance.
Oh, was it like
haunted?
Like
like a refrigerator. You know how sometimes old refrigerators or an appliance or something like a refrigerator turns on or something like that and it could be the water pipes, it could be something like that, where it could just make that, it could sound like that, but I was not getting that, except for I just kept seeing the word appliance. And so I told my buddy that, and I said, I think that I said, I saw some different things there, and I said, but she's got to get a little bit more,
Do you think the spirit was attached to the appliance?
No, I don't think there was any spirit. I think it was because of the refrigerator. I think that the refrigerator was just an old refrigerator that was probably just.
I love that. That's an awesome story.
I just don't. I seriously do not think that. I didn't see that. I didn't feel that. And that's what I said when I saw that appliance. The first thing I saw was a refrigerator, and I'm like, yeah.
Not everything's a ghost,
No.
And that's true. I mean, a lot of people are so quick to jump to that. Absolutely. Oh my God, it's got to be a ghost. I'm like, I'll tell you if it is.
Photographs. It's like
photographs are, like you said, like psychometry is really, that's actually really hard, and that's an excellent gift to have.
It's believe me, I that's not something I thought I was going to be gifted with.
Wow.
I mean, because when I was first starting out a few years ago, like being full-time active, I just didn't, I didn't think until my mentor started sending me pictures and said, I want you to read this picture. I'm like, how do I read this picture? I don't understand. And she was like, psychometry, just like when you hold stuff. I'm like, oh, and I already kind of did that before. I'd always kind of guess, like, I think there's something there. This picture looks weird, but never would put the two together. When I put the two together, it was like an aha moment. I'm like, oh my God, I was just like, holy crap. And then that's when I started that. But it's very draining. It's very,
because your brain is always trying to put something together and build a story, right? And that is where pareidolia comes from, because it's why we can look into the clouds and we see faces, we see animals,
Right.
we see a giraffe or whatever it
Yep.
is,
Right.
you know, elephant driving a car,
Right.
whatever it is, you know, you happen to be looking at in the
Right.
sky. And then when you get the pure information, you know, the brain immediately tries to work on it, but it's not good. As soon as the brain starts to work on it, it takes away from the actual subconscious information that is coming up. Right?
Right. I totally agree. Yeah, and so that's why basically I don't try to force anything. I don't tell my brain you've got to look for something. I immediately remove that. And so when I look at a picture, like say of a house or inside of a house, it just has to come to me. If I'm not actively thinking, I'm just kind of like just sitting there, just staring until something comes to me. And yeah, but I will be the first to say that that is not a perfect science. You have to kind of do your due diligence, you know, and just be like, I try my best not to let ego get to me. You know what I mean?
What is this information I'm getting? And you try to express it as the way it came over. Like
right.
Practice remote viewing. It's a psychic ability, and it's kind of that same thing. And it seems like all these things kind of fall under that same umbrella of let the information come and try to express it without thinking about it.
Right.
That would be the hardest part.
It is very hard. And that's why it's so tiring, because I can actually, I've been able to look at a picture for 3 seconds and I usually get a whole story. And I jokingly used to say, you know, I'll just need a few seconds and just give me that. But it was actually true. I only needed a few seconds on certain things. And so, I was like, yeah. And so when I would go back to spend more time with it, and that's when I would be a whole bit harder, because of the fact that my brain wants to inject something in there.
Yes. It's
you know what I mean? So me
overlay,
glancing at it really quick, and even if it's for 3 to 5 seconds or whatever, you know what I mean? I have a better chance of getting something truthful out of that than, you know what I mean? That's just my opinion.
Right.
It's your subconscious versus consciousness. Yes.
I'm not giving my subconscious a chance to catch up.
There you go. I love that.
But you're doing it the right way. I really do think that is the key. It is those initial, as soon as you touch it, or as soon as you walk into an environment, try to take in what's going on.
Yeah, you go with your first intuition.
Seconds. The rest of the time is trying to figure out what just happened.
And
not put your own junk on it.
Right. And that's why when I talk to my friend Josh, and you know, he sends me pictures, and if he's usually got the information beforehand, so you know, I'll ask him. I said, how much does that I said ring true? And there's been a few times where he says, you're right on it. You know, you're right on it. And then there's been times where he's like, I got to verify that information. You know, give me a while and I'll find out. You know, because there's some things that I'll pick up that he won't know until later on. You know, he'll be like, oh, okay, I didn't know that, but now I do. You know, so I gave him a lot of information in the last picture he gave me, and I think it was just initial first 3 seconds. It's like the 3-second rule for me.
That's it.
3-second rule.
Yeah, if you something on the floor, it's 3-second rule. No,
3-second rule. Being a cook most of my life too, I know that 3-second rule.
Come on.
I'm not real familiar with Wisconsin and its active hauntings, but doing a quick Google search before the interview, I see a place called the Pistor Hotel.
Of course he does.
And that's a top of the list, and of course made me laugh. The Pistor. Have you been to the Pistor?
No, I haven't, but just doing a quick remote view. There's quite a bit there.
Activity?
I mean, yeah.
It seemed to be the top.
What do we have?
Top of the list.
There.
Top of the list. I mean, you've got there's a lot of residual there. That's weird. I see there's a guy there's a guy running up and down the halls naked.
Oh my, that's interesting.
But but he's in a loop. He's in a loop, so he doesn't realize that's what he's doing.
Oh, that's. I feel bad for spirits like that.
I've ran into that a couple times. A person that's in a loop, and it's very sad.
That can be troublesome at the Pistor.
Yeah.
There's another place called the Bloody Bride Bridge.
Um,
And this is kind of like one of those kind of folklorish tales that get told around a lot, you know, in different states. What do you know about that?
I don't know much about that at all. I'm in southern Wisconsin. I'm like I'm on the by the border of Illinois, so I'm only like an hour from Chicago.
It's a big
wow. State. Okay.
But it was one of these stories of like where you go over the bridge and in your rearview mirror, kind of like Candyman, you'll see the bloody bride, you know, looking at you because she was struck by a car.
And I think Illinois has the same story.
There's a lot of stories like that. Yeah,
there are. I
grew up in Vermont.
Yeah,
I went up to Wilson Castle.
Sure.
Because with Shay from Paranormal Buzz Radio, Shay Carroll and Matt Warner, we went up there, and it had a bridge. We actually had pictures of it. It was something towards that. It was like that.
Right.
There's a lot of stories like that. Chris Balzano's written extensively about some of the ones in Florida. There was one Bloody Bucket Bridge.
Oh yeah,
that comes to mind. I love his books. If you want to hear great folklore,
Chris is a great guest.
Chris is a way
Chris
to go.
Balzano, yeah,
it's awesome. Yep.
Yeah, we have another one up, a really cool place called the Baraboo Inn in Baraboo, Wisconsin, which is the Dells, Wisconsin Dells, and it was an old gangster hideout or hangout, and yeah, that's got quite a few spirits in it. But see, my senses are heightened more because of the fact that I have a sitter tomorrow night for a client, so my gifts are heightened, my frequency's heightened, so I'm able to do remote viewing pretty quick. So
do you find a difference between, say, like new ghosts and old ghosts, right? So like most people's impression is, well, if this house is really old, therefore it must be haunted. But I don't, in my experience or our experience, we haven't really found that to be the case. Like a modern house can be extremely haunted as well.
I don't look at it as, I mean, I usually try to look at the history of the house or the building. You know, I can date the ghost or the spirit that's there, that wanders, whatever, by the clothing that they wear.
Oh, okay.
And so I that's how I can tell basically how old or what era they're from. Now, I ran into one where I saw a kid that was wearing a t-shirt and jeans, you know, and maybe 10 years ago, you know. So the clothes for me is what really gets it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's really, it's a lot more easier to gauge that. And if I hear music, sometimes if I hear in my head, if I hear certain types of music or something like that, then I can usually gauge it. But I've only had that happen maybe once or twice. So
do you think we'll eventually hit a point where we're seeing ghosts stare at black boxes in their hands?
Oh, that's what we say. Yeah.
What's that?
Do you think we'll hit a point where we'll see ghosts staring at black boxes in their hands, their iPhones, Galaxies, and
I don't. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, you gotta understand that even if somebody's passed recently, you know, I don't know if devices would really have a play in that. That's a good question.
That is a good question.
I mean, that's just really, gosh, I didn't even really think about that. You know, it's like
that may be the next level.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's gonna be like a level, because if they're touching electronics, they're gonna have more frequency.
Right. And into the box.
More vibration.
Maybe we'll only see the box. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's actually I think a lot of the
iPhones,
like things are changing in the universe. I mean, I felt the shift probably a couple weeks ago. Somebody else I knew felt the same shift.
Mhm.
and it was almost like I was like dizzy, but I knew it was a spiritual shift. So there's things that we're coming into different ages and different things, and there's going to be a lot more paranormal stuff. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be a lot more. Like you said, maybe it's leveling up. I don't know.
I don't know. A
You
lot
know
of people
what I mean?
say that there was,
Something to think about.
reporting incidents of paranormal activity in our home, especially with COVID in 2020, where people were home a lot more and they could see what was going on or hear what was going on.
I feel also that it has to do with the sun that's going through a change. Our
Mhm.
planet is going through a drastic change.
Drastic change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel it has to be. Everything's connected. I believe.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah, there's more of
It's a kinetic connection.
Yes, excellent.
CME,
Absolutely.
that kind of thing. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. So
Yeah.
we wonder often if it's end times or
Right.
just,
Right. And I don't think it was a coincidence, because I don't believe in coincidences anymore, but it wasn't a coincidence that, that I had this stroke or that I had, years ago, and then my gifts were growing and getting better, and I was exploring all this stuff and realizing who I was. I think that was just the timing,
Yeah, it sucks when you get older, because you think about it when you're a child, because I'm in kind of the boat you are, and we're kind of close in age, and it's like I wish I developed it more and figured it out more when I was a kid than like right now.
Right. I think that a lot of it now, because if you really look back and think about the spiritual movement, like back in the early 1900s,
Mhm.
didn't really hear too many teenagers that were, mediums or,
No, you're right.
or soothsayers or psychics or whatever. You know what I mean? They weren't. It was either older or middle-aged to older, whatever. Now you're seeing kids in their teens or 20s that are very gifted, and they do this, do that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, what changed?
Right, exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that might have changed. I know they talked about a change like in the 70s and the 60s, like the next generation was going to be these seed children, and they really weren't. If anything,
the 70s sucked too.
But they did explore.
You wouldn't either.
These topics.
I remember. I remember all the way back to when I was 1.
Come on, that's awesome.
Yeah, my memory goes back to when I was 1.
I'm jealous.
Yeah. So believe me, I was watching the Brady Bunch on TV every Wednesday. My parents would watch it. I would sit there, and it was on at Wednesday at 7 on ABC, I think it was.
No kidding. My goodness. I wish we were like that.
Yeah. No, I'm remembering all that stuff. Now, after when I had my stroke, I did lose some of that stuff. There's some gaps.
For our audience, how old were you when you had the stroke?
42.
42. Okay.
Yep.
So 42, and then you felt like you were more gifted after the stroke?
Oh, yeah. But it took a few years. I mean, it took a while to, I had to heal, and I had to, I was kind of feel like I was in the bottom of the barrel, and I was just kind of climbing my way back up.
Oh, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I had to hit rock bottom before I could go up.
Exactly. I understand that.
It was kind of like a wake-up call. And
that was a wake-up call, right?
There was a element of sobriety going on, and then there was the element of like, wow, here's all these thoughts that have probably been blocked in some way.
Yeah.
Through
I basically the night before it happened. Yeah, the night before it happened, I was 7 sheets to the wind, and I was, and then I woke up that morning and couldn't remember what alcohol tasted like.
Oh dear.
That was a good
thing.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Right on. No, I understand what you're saying. Like, I've not been the healthiest of people either, and through some of this, it's been sort of an experience, although I still enjoy a beer once in a while.
Right. Oh yeah. No. And to each his own, and I miss it, but I was a whiskey drinker, so
Ooh,
Right. Very strong.
hurts
Yeah.
my throat thinking about it.
You know,
Yeah.
might not get away from that.
That was the best feeling. When it burned and went down, that was awesome.
A lot of people say that. Why?
I don't know.
I've heard the story too of, you know, people who got sober and, you know,
Yeah,
who
there's a lot
had
of
a problem and stopped. And then like all the psychic energy like really came to them. Like it just like boom.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
one of them, I believe you interviewed Sam Baltrusis.
Oh yes.
Is
Yeah.
told us, you know, it's a great guy. We love
Yes.
Sam.
Love Sam. He's so sweet.
Yep. Yeah, he is. He was a really great guest. I really like him a lot. And yeah, it's just, you know, now that I don't drink, coffee is my whiskey.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, you know, I'm okay with that.
This coffee's making me awesome. Is it hot?
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not perfect, but we'll get there.
Oh yeah.
There's
Yeah.
stuff going on. Life gets in the way, and
life is getting in the way right now for us.
so
But what I wanted to ask you was, like, what kind of equipment do you like on an investigation? I know it's a simple question, but everybody seems to have a different.
You know, I had a lot of the.
You could pick one thing. What would you get? What would you pick?
One thing I like, I have to say two, because one is a EMF detector. You can get it at Walmart, and it's $20, and it's just like an EMF detector, and has a backlight to it. It's just a little handheld for, you know, detecting EMF, and I've had good luck with that. And I like my little cat toys.
the cat
the
balls.
cat
We
balls.
have one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like those.
And I've had activity on my live feed with
Come
those cat
on.
toys. Yeah.
We have
Yep.
two. That's great. That's
Yep.
awesome. Do
Yep.
something good.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Adam Began. Yep.
Oh my God, we know
Yeah.
Adam.
Yeah, he was on my show,
We gotta-
filling in, and he was talking about, we asked him what his favorite place to investigate. He said the Lizzie Borden, and that light went off like crazy. It would not stop. And so yeah, that was pretty cool. But
Nice.
That's awesome. We know. Yeah,
we need to talk to Adam a little bit. That's cool. Yeah, I like the cat balls, even if they aren't like, you know, perfected science.
Yeah.
Right.
Things
No,
are,
but-
you know, they're all just toys.
they're
essentially.
cool. And they're
In a
cheap.
way, it kind of mocks the whole industry because it's like
Yeah.
motion sensor.
I like a recorder because
Yeah. I have a recorder on my phone. I like my recorder on my phone. I picked up some good stuff. I mean, it's just, I've had Zoom, I've had Tascam, I've had a bunch of different ones, and I just think my phone is just as good, you know?
yes, we agree. I think the way we look at it is if they want to talk, they can touch and use anything.
Right.
And
Oh yeah.
have. So
Right.
yeah. And I love my
Anything can
recorder
work.
on my phone and do
That's
anything.
right.
They can manipulate
If you
anything.
favor your phone, there's a better chance that they will probably communicate to you that way. You know, we have Tascam, we like the DR5,
Yeah, we like DR5.
different things, and
Yeah,
Because-
and not to say anything bad with those things. I just
no, there's
you know,
nothing
I
wrong.
find them.
It's our intent, like we're
Right.
putting it out there. The phone could work just as well.
But having the DR5,
You know,
we've
you'd have
noticed.
clearer EVP.
Right, but we've noticed that they will switch because it has two microphones on it, and they will
Stereo.
actually pick one microphone.
Oh well,
Yeah, so that's why sometimes
We've
that's why
also
we
had
like
the experience of them affecting our ears. Well, we hear
eardrums. Yeah,
the
Oh, boy.
experience, but it doesn't go to the microphone
yeah,
on the recorder, and that's the freakiest
mhm.
freaking thing
ever
that can happen.
that it
because
never gets
we'll sit there
recorded
and be
on
like,
any recorder.
"Oh my god," you know, that just happened.
It
You heard
was
that,
so
right? You heard that, I heard
loud.
it. And then it's not on a recorder.
How is that
How is it
possible?
possible?
You know
But,
what's really cool is if you take that like the microphone you have, and then you put it on a tripod, and then you just plug it into like a Philips or some type of voice recorder. You know, you type it in or you plug it in there and then just hit record and just listen, and then it'd be surprised at what can come through there because those mics can pick up a lot of different stuff. I did that at a haunted location once, and I didn't really get a ton of stuff, but we could hear stuff downstairs. I mean, it was just crazy. I mean, we didn't have a parabolic, whatever, backdrop to it, but it was cool.
Was just telling us about keeping a microphone in a car. Who was that? Kristen.
I'm trying to think about that as I'm ready.
Somebody saying they would go into the location, but leave a microphone running in the car.
Oh my God!
And they come
no.
back out, and the best EVPs that get would be in the car.
Oh, for goodness sake, I forgot who that was.
Because they just knew, apparently Spirit knew, to put it there to make it even more freaky.
Freaky.
Yeah, and that happens.
Yeah, that's their intent.
You know,
Get freaky.
They do seem to understand. It's not.
They do.
Their perceptions seem to be different than our five senses.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Time is certainly different.
Yeah. So are you on Paranormal Buzz Radio? Are you?
No.
You're not. Okay.
No.
That's what I wanted to ask. Okay.
Where can people find you?
Yes.
People can find me on Parapost. Parapost, Manifest Network, and my own page, Studio 6 Paranormal Podcast on Facebook, and YouTube is my Studio 6 Paranormal Podcast on YouTube.
Studio 6, yes.
Please like and subscribe.
So if they Google Studio 6, can they find most of these locations to find you?
Yeah, maybe, possibly. I mean, I just decided to post on Parapost a while ago, or actually this last week. So, but I've also been posted on the Manifest Network for a while.
Is it parapost.com?
Parapost is like Facebook. Okay, but it's paranormal. It's a platform. It's kind of like that. It's like being on Facebook, and you can, have friend requests and this and that, and
make a profile.
Yeah. Oh, that's wicked cool. I never knew anything about
check that out.
Oh yeah. So if you go to Parapost on Facebook, Parapost Network or something like that, I think that's what it says. Then you'll see the link to it, and I think that there's a link on my page, my Studio 6 page.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. We'll check that out though, Jay. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
I just wasn't aware of it.
Yeah. Brian Lafferty from Huntophobia.
Oh, I know
that's his baby. Yeah.
No kidding.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent.
Great.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Great.
It was so much fun having you on our show. Thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, these are great stories, and I love it. And I love how things turn around in your life.
Yes. Yes.
Those are important stories. It needs to happen to a lot of people, and thank God people talk about it. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
And things are much better now and clear.
Yes.
And that's fantastic.
That's the best part about it.
Love that. So thank you so much. And we'll be back on Saturday with Bigfoot and the Bunny. Our guest this week is a near-death experiencer, died in the ice, and we'll be talking about what he saw when he died. And, thank you for joining us all. We appreciate it.
Stay on for 1 second when we leave. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.